Hey, and welcome everybody to today's episode of Parenting Accurately. I'm so excited about today's broadcast, although I think I'm all excited about every one of them. It seems like we were able to bring in relevant, powerful content to help parents be better parents. You know, it is, if you maybe you're tuning in live or you've watched an episode or two before, but I just want to just clarify and remind everybody that the heart of parenting accurately is to give parents the tools and equipment and the community necessary to grow in their parenting relationship with their kids. Parenting teens, especially teens. Teens they're a big focus of parenting accurately, and teens today face things that like most parents, in years before would never have had to deal with. And so I believe that God has given us grace. I believe that He's given us a passion to help parents and help equip parents to build their connection and their relationship with their teen. So I want to welcome everybody today to the broadcast. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be talking about family meetings. And I know that I have a guest that is an expert in this area. She's been a long-term entrepreneur, a mother of many kids, 8 kids, and she has done thousands of family meetings. So as I was thinking about this concept and bringing on, looking for resources to talk about family meetings, Donna came to mind, and I cannot think of anyone more equipped to be able to share this with you guys. So if you are tuning in live and you have a question, I encourage you to post it in the comments. Post it in the comments of the video, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. We encourage that. If you know somebody that you feel could benefit from this video, tag them in the comments, tag them in the video, love it. That's all really important. That helps Facebook with their algorithms. It helps them to, the more popular like a post is, the more they'll send that out to people. So we appreciate you guys partnering with us in that. So we have some announcements coming up. I'm going to be doing a live teaching myself this week. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Friday or Saturday yet, but I'll let you know later today or tomorrow. I'll make a post about it. And I'm going to be talking about lies. So that's all I'm going to give you now, but I'll post more details. That's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So I hope that you can join us for that. Anyway, without wasting or taking any more time, I want to introduce everybody to my guest, Donna. She's here with us. Hi, Donna.
Hi.
I'm
Thanks for
not even
having
gonna.
me.
No problem. I was gonna try to pronounce your last name, but it's such a unique last name. I would probably fail. So it's Tadych or
Tadych, yeah,
Tadych. Okay.
like Tad had an itch. Yeah, I get that a
Oh,
lot. People don't know how to pronounce it.
oh,
Tadych.
Tadych. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. I know that you're traveling and you've taken the time out of your schedule to sit down with us for a while and talk about something that you're passionate about and I believe you're an expert in. So, but before we get into all that, let's just take a minute and just share with the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you're up to.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I have 8 children. I have one granddaughter and then 2 away, and that's why I'm traveling. Just really love being a mom and being a grandma. I have 2 businesses that I've been for 2 years and the other for 17 years. And then I also homeschool my children. And so it's been full and busy. And I understand meetings and how important they are.
Right. You know, family meetings, when we talk, I mean, I've been in the business world for quite a few years and, meetings are called for various different purposes. And a lot of them are to, give direction, bring clarity, delegate responsibility. And, a big one though is, and I think that, some of us can relate. It's like, if there's a meeting, sometimes there's a negative connotation to that. And I almost feel like if we have a family meeting, the kids feel like they're getting called to the principal's office. And so I know that there's a lot of different ways to have a meeting. There's formal meetings, there's informal meetings, there's lots of different things. So I look forward to diving into this topic with you and just bringing some clarity around it. I don't think meetings should be very complicated, right?
No, no, it helps if it's simple and direct and has a purpose. If everybody understands the outcome, how long you'll meet, I think that kind of really helps
Uh-huh.
participate and join in.
Okay. And so let's just start there. How do you see, like, what's the purpose of a family meeting?
For purposes, but I think you have before you meet, what's the outcome that you're after? You figure that out, then you can kind of start to accommodate that so that you'll be successful. Being able to have a regular meeting so that you're not reacting out of situations, just gathering, like you said, the negative connotations,
Right.
or all in trouble. So that's why mom's calling. You want to set the tone in your attitude about it. But if you have meetings that are positive and also addressing, then there's not an immediate assumption. But the main reason that you meet is to just develop connection with each other and develop communication skills so that you have an atmosphere where they can be heard, that they know that they're going to be seen, that they can add and contribute. They're a part. It's really about belonging in your family.
Right. So, in just being very transparent here, growing up, I don't ever remember having a family meeting. So this was never modeled to me as a child. I have had some family meetings, and I've really felt good about a couple of them. However, a few of them, I know that just didn't go very well. I walked away feeling worse than when we went into it. Um, but I like what you said. I think that it is important to kind of keep them simple, right? They don't have to be really complicated.
Nope.
And so probably the simpler the better.
Yeah. I think timing of when you're doing it, we regular weekly meeting that had different components in it, but I had afternoon and evening meetings depending on what I'm accomplishing or connecting in. So
Uh,
obviously having 8 children, I didn't want same thing 8 times and have everybody know or be on the same page. So I would call people to a meeting, and it could be just to inform and just keep everybody what's happening. Or we would have morning meetings, like we're 15 minutes to 30 minutes. For people who, with the family personalities, you kind of need to figure out, tick all the boxes. If you are real relational people, they could go on and on. And people who are more task oriented want to know how long is this going to take place. So we began to allow the different personality impact how long, what types of things you cover, and just really met the needs of everyone. So, it just depended on what time of day or what we're doing, but it's important to be able to uh, communicate clearly and precisely, and you don't have to drag it on and on and on.
okay. And so generally, so it sounds like you have a predetermined purpose for a meeting before you get into it.
Yeah, I think in anything that we do, no one in a workplace or just in other settings where they're in leadership would call a meeting and not have a reason for the meeting. And I
Uh-huh.
think when you communicate that to everyone at the beginning, outcome that you're trying to reach, and then they buy that and agree to do it to be able to accomplish that. If it's just being and no one knows why they're there, then you're going to have less participation in the process. And how long? I think it's important to set time and really honor people's time. With teens, they don't want an end at 3 or 4 hours. They need to know, okay, time I need to block. And if it's a regularly scheduled meeting, then they know, okay, I need to allot this each week to my family so that I can build communication, connection, and really stay where I know I belong somewhere.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So give us some examples of, like, maybe an outline, or let's start with the length of time. I guess maybe some meetings can be longer than others, but on average, what would you say is like that sweet spot for the length of time in a meeting?
Well, age matters. Teenagers, obviously, you can do a little longer. I would think, an hour isn't too much to ask for your weekly meeting. We
Uh-huh.
usually combined it with a family fun time. or a meal. So sometimes we'd have that, or we'd have a Bible study devotional time. And then at the end, we always would go do a family activity or a team building thing. And so we always ended on a positive note, not a negative note.
Okay.
So I think, if you're going to do that, then it could be a little longer than an hour. But I think most people can't hold the attention longer than 50 minutes. And so,
Right.
and when you're structuring it for younger kids, obviously having 8, and younger children at the same time. So do the conversation or discuss with everyone, and then people as the conversations are just age appropriate. So
Okay.
that in 50 minutes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, in my case, I have some younger ones. My youngest is 6, and then 8, and then my oldest is 19, and then 18. And so we have a very wide range. And I've noticed that when I try to get everybody together, it's got to be more fun than anything else.
Yep.
And I, fun is something that is interesting to talk about around family. I know for many of us we're really busy, and sometimes we don't take the time to have fun as a family. And so we have to really be intentional in that. And there's so many things that happen in an environment when we're enjoying it, we're having fun. It's really important to do that. What would you say to a family that really, maybe this concept is new?
I think I encourage them that if you put it on the calendar, it usually happens. You've created a deadline that you're committed to. Everybody then can be looking forward to it, anticipating. It gives you time to think through, what do we need to meet about, instead of just reacting in difficult situations and saying, oh, we've got to talk about this. That there's also a place too that when everybody's emotions are high, you can say, okay, we're going to table you until that meeting. And that way everybody can kind of de-escalate, and then and a way that you. So I think being able to unintentional gives you the freedom to creative in the different activities. You can even be in the family. What are some things that you want to do? Right. What are ways that we can build and a way to belong? And a great place for everybody to have a voice that's going to be heard and seen, and they're not slipping through. And it's on the calendar then.
Right. That's helpful. So let's say the first family meeting, kids are already older. Maybe, they've never had a family meeting before. What can you do to prepare the kids for that?
I think tell everybody, hey, we haven't done this, but it's something that we find that would probably help us better with each other, and just have a place to in our communication skills. If they feel like it's something that is going to be awkward and strange, say, well, it might be. Of course, it's going to seem that way at first, but I would probably keep the first meeting not real confrontational. I'd keep it light. And I would ask good questions like, what do you want to know about how they feel about your family? Are there any areas that they think are great? Any areas that they wish that you all would work on? What kinds of things do they want to see as family activities in the future? I would really create an environment where they feel like they're contributing and that they can take ownership, because then it sets the stage for the future conversations. One of the things that we did too is we would just say, and just kind of be quiet, and thing that that you ask someone for forgiveness for, do that. Or if there's anything that someone else did that you'd like to have resolution, wait a few minutes, and then we'll turn to doing that. And it really created that ability and ownership, and people realize, oh, I don't have to just, we want to reconcile because we want to have great relationships, and we don't have to ignore the elephant in order to keep that relationship going.
Yeah, that's really good. So I remember one of the one family meeting that we had. So I have a blended family, as most of everybody knows. So my wife brought in 3 kids to the marriage, and I have 3 kids, and we're all together. So we're like the modern day Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And that makes that makes a family meeting really interesting. Of course, the kids have known each other for several years and they get along pretty well. But I remember when we first moved in together and established, the one family now, my intention was to have a family meeting, and it turned into, we played a game called Spoons.
Oh,
I don't know if
gosh.
anybody, that game is great. Um,
Yeah.
and everybody, it was one of the sweetest moments, I think, that we've, to start a new family like that.
Yeah.
And I was able to ask some questions, during it as we played. So in this case, this family meeting didn't even feel like a meeting.
Exactly. Feel like a formal structure, and everybody's to pull out of people the answers. And regular family nights, and kind of couples have date nights, or they really should.
Right.
But you can have family nights, and we would have a special, and we'll have games or different activities that sometimes it's watch a movie, but more often than not, it's games that we do, or we go somewhere. And again, you're building community, you're building belonging, building a sense of friendship,
Yeah.
place where they can be seen. And so much of life kind of pulls people in different directions. So I think even those kinds of things that's a family. We just don't traditionally call it that. And I think defining it, or really understanding how every time we gather, we're meeting. And
Right.
when we're gathering, our purpose is to connect, and our purpose is to communicate in a way that encourages each other to grow. So,
Yeah. You mentioned different activities that you can do in games, like in a family meeting, and sometimes watch a movie together. And I feel like that's probably the easiest thing that a lot of us do. Let's get together, let's watch a movie. Everybody seems to enjoy it. Then, of course, the next battle is to, okay, which movie do we watch? And with
yeah,
such an age difference, somebody has to compromise. But
yeah,
I was thinking about like this, and when new couples date, like the worst thing that you could do is go to a movie, because you don't learn about each other. You just sit together.
yeah.
And so I would say, like, if you're a parent and you feel like you really need to connect with your kid, go do fun things, but make sure that you take that time to build a connection and communicate.
You might consider doing is finding a video provoking, for a family, not
Uh,
full length movie, but sometimes there's, 5 minute clips of things, and talk about it. Maybe it's a cultural issue going on. You just want to not ignore it as a family, and gather and understand each other's perspectives. Or it's a teaching that's going to help you different kinds of skills. We would learn a lot of things like the love languages or apology languages.
uh,
We were big on personalities, so we take lots of tests and just grow our communication skills. So I would probably find a video that's centered on building relationship, or a team building activity, or a trust activity that you can grow, and so much just like watch a movie. That would be maybe more like family night, where we're just hanging out together.
right. That's awesome. So how often would you recommend that a family meets?
So I think when you have it on the calendar, it's way more effective. So at least once a week, where
Uh,
everybody knows. Now, if you have older children, obviously I have older children, we can't all do that specific times of the year. Do still call family meetings during those times. Oh, I'm going to do it. And so, but they're great because we have family vision and legacy that we want in it. But I think at least once a week, we're all in the house together. And then mini meetings. I mean, we had a morning meeting, we had evening check-ins if we had to connect back on activities that need. So, and anytime I had information everyone needed to know, or I felt like, then I'd call a meeting, and I call
uh,
those little mini meetings, but we're all on the same page.
right. Okay. Um, you'd sent me a couple links to a couple documents that would really kind of help a family create a framework for a meeting. I'm gonna put that out in the comments here in just a few minutes. Probably just after we're done, I'll get those links and put them in the comments. But as I was going through them, they're great. They're a great tool. So thank you for that. I think that's going to help us a lot in starting, creating a culture of family meetings. And one of the things that I feel is really important is to give our kids a voice.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes because we don't want them to feel entitled. Necessarily, we don't want them to feel like, oh, well, you have to listen to me. But we do want them to feel heard. And so, yeah, could you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that could be a fear of having a meeting and opening it up and giving your kids a stage. When you give your kids a stage, what's going to come out and how am I going to lose control of the meeting?
Right. Well, I definitely don't want to make an assumption. Our family had ground rules on how with one another, and that's probably helpful to sit down and write out. We're always kind, courteous. We're going to be respectful. We're not going to interfere. And of course, that didn't happen our family's a family, so people didn't do what they needed to. But in general, create a culture of honor. And I always told them, I want to, but you have to speak respectfully. We need to yell. We don't need to get loud. Just be heard. So I think being able to put ground rules in place, this is how we communicate. And as long as you can honor and walk in those, and you can be heard in that setting. So I'm definitely not saying, hey, let them say whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. That was never my policy.
Right.
And when they're doing that, when they shouldn't, I would have to stop too and say, hey, that's just not how we communicate. And as long as you are doing that, I can't hear you right now. If you want to come back when you're less affected by that and actually talk about the situation, then I'd be glad to. And I had to do that with myself too. If there was something that I got, upset about or was just frustrated, I have to check myself too and say, I don't get the freedom to speak I want, however, that to me either. So we all held to those ground rules. So I would set those in place. Just know this is something like for our family, we had a big family, so we had to too. So, somebody can be a time, everybody gets X amount of time to share. You make those rules and agreement beginning and then just honor them.
Yeah.
That's true.
That sounds like that actually, while you do that, it teaches the child how to have restraint, how to respect other people's words and just how their emotions. And I think that is one really valuable way to create a culture of honor in a home. In the PDF that we're going to share, one of the things that you have on there.
Can I share thought on what you just said too?
Yes, please.
One of the things you realize is that you're actually creating them skills for life, because they're going to be in work in all kinds of settings where they're not going to be the one dominating the conversation, and they're going to have to learn how to do active listening. So if they're not the person talking, they can't just check out of the meeting. So I think it's the combination of being involved. You're teaching them life skills in this process, because it's family meetings now, but it's going to be board meetings, work meetings, church meetings. We live a life and culture of meetings, and we want them to be ready and prepared for that, to participate in an honoring way, and then also and not disengaging before the meeting's over. And your question again.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's good. On your types of outcomes, you list several types of outcomes in a meeting, and one is to have fun and build family memories and traditions.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of insight on, give us some examples maybe of some of the traditions that can come out of a family meeting?
So one of the things particularly is we have a family night, and we have special meals, and so we talk about what for that, or suggestions and ideas. Went on trips, and so that was another thing that we about. Where do we want to go? What types of things experience? Planning for being able to do that, and because we've taken a number, they know how to do that themselves, and they've mapped their own trips, even with their families, and that's kind of exciting. Another thing is special events or things that are. We always did. My birthday's on the July, and one of my daughters really wanted to put on a fireworks show. And so every year we have meetings about what that would look like, who all was going to come. We would take a family activity and trip to go get all the fireworks. I mean, so, you just want to create anchors in their lives, a place that they belong, and something that leaves fond memories. Usually those days we had food, we went swimming, we played football or volleyball outside. At the end of the day, we watched 30, 40 minutes worth of fireworks. And so you just want to meetings talking about those things, so you're getting the process. You're not just telling them where to, and then you're also letting them take ownership for different aspects of it, so everybody's and feels like, and they can have suggestions. You go bowling sometimes. You have just traditions that different you do.
Yeah, that's great. So the meetings don't always have to be sitting in a circle around the table or the couch.
No. Sometimes I'm standing and I call everybody, and everybody gets around, and I need to explain it, and then off they go. And what I found is that they actually have insight. Remember something I'm totally forgetting, and so we're all talking about the thing. Then they cover that up, and then we can problem solve ahead of time. Really begin to be a team to see things happen, and mom or dad telling everybody what to do and how to be there. And then they know just what are the family expectations and rules and plans, and how do we participate at a place to belong.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Man, I want to do more family meetings. We've been doing some, but I think now it's like I could see that it's very valuable. It creates an opportunity. It's a way to be proactive
Yes,
in
very
parenting,
proactive.
and to be proactive in setting the tone of the home, setting the boundaries with children. Because I think even in the meeting itself, you create boundaries, and then immediately you get to watch them try to push them, or respect them, and then you're able to coach them in a environment where everybody's together. And I think it just creates an opportunity for growth, and just to build the closeness and that love with your kids.
Exactly. And I always say a lot to families, and even my kids, you have to pull weeds. And so if you're in ways in their hearts, just places, I mean, a meeting can be about encouragement, or you can have a blessing meeting where everybody's going to bless you. You can say positive things about what you appreciate about each other. I mean, the list is endless about the good things that you do, to get away from, oh, I'm reacting to this bad thing, or you did this, so now I'm going to do that. We want to build a positive environment and water their hearts well, and we can do this tool of meeting. And then also other people around them, the other kids, get that with each other too. And then that has a effect into other areas, where if they having an issue with each other, they can actually call a meeting themselves. Not everybody has to be present at every meeting, and they can talk through things and be able to problem solve themselves, and also plan fun things that they want to do with each other. You're teaching life skills. They're going to be doing that for the rest of their life, and we want to give them just a map and model of what that looks like.
Right. That's fantastic. Well, any final thoughts on this that could help? I really sense, I have a feeling that there's a lot of families out there that just don't do this. And I see the value in it. And I think some of the hindrances to just starting, like you said, if it's on the calendar, it'll generally happen. So the most important thing that a parent could do that wants to begin family meetings is put it on the calendar. And I would recommend not just putting one on the calendar. Plan them out for the month. Get them all on there, at least. And and then just stick to it. And if the first one doesn't go so well, it's okay. Part of the whole parenting accurately concept and the idea and the heart of parenting accurately is like, I always saw like a bow and arrow. And when you shoot that bow and arrow, if you miss the bullseye, you miss the mark, it's okay. Shoot again.
Yep.
Just go for it again. And so the first meeting may not go well, although it may. I think that a lot of kids will find that, that the time and attention from their parents to actually sit down with them and desire to know like how they're feeling, how they're doing, will be welcomed.
Yeah. I think entering into just with a humble attitude, you model what you want for them. And if you come to them humbly and just say, hey, this is an area where, I've got room for improvement. And this is
Yeah.
something I want to be really intentional about. And I think recognizing where you're already having meetings anyway, but you just
Right.
really haven't been intentional that you want to have. I think the key thing is what are you meeting for? Is it
Right.
just reactionary meetings, so emotional and out of control, or actually setting things in place so that you lay the framework to address those issues of the heart and being purposeful and intentional with that. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it's going to go badly if you enter humility. We're
That's true.
parents. We didn't do it all right, and I didn't either. Come and say, hey, I haven't always been listening to. I haven't really heard what you had to say or perspectives were, but I want to, and I really want to. We belong, that we
Yeah.
have things, and then also I just want to have better communication skills. I want to develop that with you. Generally, kids are forgiving. They want to come along, and then they also can buy in. And that even as
Yeah.
teens, you can't really use authority with them very effectively. You can't have their heart. So you want to gain influence. Well, influence comes being meek and humble and serving them well, loving them well. So
Yeah.
especially if you're giving them positive feedback in the meetings too and cheering them on and just connecting and being fun too.
Yeah.
They
Have you
begin to look forward to it.
right with the age appropriately? Have you ever like given the meeting to one of your children and say, okay, this is your meeting?
I do think that it's helpful if they have something that they want to talk to everybody about, that yeah,
Uh-huh.
they can share the meeting, that the parent doesn't have to be in charge of every, and even dividing the meeting up into different people to handle different aspects. That I a lot of times I would have, like, one of the things I really wanted was my son lead, not that women can't, but lead families when they grew up. And so
Right.
I would here and come up with different Bible and things like that, and just really pursue their perspective. And I would have them pray out loud too. I know a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that, but practice it in a safe setting at home, and they're able to do that in other places. And when in other Bible studies, they now share very perspectives and things that they understand from Scripture practiced at home. So again, we're using this opportunity as a tool to create life so that they can be effective in the world, in their own homes. And so it's just really key. No one would run a company or go out and do the things that happen without having intentional things that have a purpose and a timeline. And why not in the home?
Yeah.
And be positive about it. We
Sure.
want to we want to create a positive environment toward.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. I know
Yeah.
when going from 3 kids to 6 kids, we had to have order.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it took a little bit of time to figure out, okay, what's the balance between order and just
Yeah.
having too much to where it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
but I told them, and it took a little bit of time to like get them to understand that, look, if we did not have rules, if we did not have some sort of order, or set expectations on everybody, uh it would be chaos.
Right.
And so they took well to that, and it's gone very well. But it would not have been possible without some meetings.
For sure.
That's
And
for sure.
and for them to come again, again, we don't see, even as everything, we don't remember everything. And I have learned and valued the insight and wisdom that, like, they experience and see things in a different way. Add that. Every time they add that, they belong. And when
Yeah.
I can honor that and be positive about it, likely to enter into it. And you know, my family's not perfect, so I'm not trying to portray. We had crazy times too, but I just people to know that kids they a lot of insight into things. And we just value their part that they play at whatever level that they have. And
Yeah.
it's about belonging, creating an opportunity to connect together, and also just build good communication skills so that those relationships, even as they get older, on. And I see that now as my older children are interacting. They kept that connection strong because we held that at home.
Yeah. Well, no family is perfect.
No.
Every family is different. And, if you're a family out there and you feel like everything is perfect, then please email me. There's no way.
Well, you're not telling the truth. You're
Yeah.
not really owning it. So
Right.
no
I mean,
pretending. We don't
every
pretend.
family goes through changes constantly,
Right.
as kids age, as we get older. I mean, we're in a constant state of change, which is good. And so the trick is, and I think the key is to grow together.
Yes. Yep.
Everybody's growing. And, I thought about this a while back, and it's like, 100 years ago, even 200, especially like 200 years ago, people were often born in one house and then they died in the same house. They would
Yeah.
grow up, go to school in the same town, born in the same place, same farm or wherever it was, and they would never move. They
Yeah.
would never leave. And now in today's culture, there are so many changes. And they say that, at least several years ago, that they said that a person goes through 3 major life changes in a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whereas a long time ago, they wouldn't go through any. So, and I think this has contributed in part to the high rates of divorce today, because people marry one person and then 10, 15 years later, they're no longer the same person because of all these changes. You have different cultures that range from state to state, area. And so I think maybe we'll have to do this one day. I think we need to teach kids and people how to grow together.
Yeah.
And because if you grow, everybody is growing and they're in a constant state of change. And if you don't learn to either respect the changes that's happening or learn to grow with them, then you'll grow apart.
That's very true. Yeah. I mean, you can see that just in lots of examples for sure.
And so with kids, teaching them how to respect that now is huge.
And how to know that growing is okay.
Yeah.
Hey, most people, when you ask them to change, they don't like it. So we want our kids to be able to realize what we did then may not be what we're doing now.
Right.
In wisdom, but also how forward to it, to be able to say, okay, well, I did do it better. And we model that by saying, hey, I didn't do this well, but I'm good now. And I'd like to work together on it. And
right.
That way they can buy in
Yeah.
or do something.
Well,
people are looking long. We just, as parents, get to help create an environment in the home.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Donna, I really appreciate your time today. It's a very, very important thing that it's an important part of the family element to have meetings, establish order, have fun, create that opportunity of growth, and just to be able to grow together, to learn communication and all the things that you've shared. I'm going to put up the links to the 2 PDFs that you shared. That'll be a great tool for any parent that's looking to start or even enhance your family meetings. So again, Donna, thank you so much for joining us, and I definitely look forward to having you on again. One question that I wanted to ask you, and I didn't prep you for this.
Okay.
In your opinion, what is parenting accurately? Or what is parenting accurately to you?
I think it's even just the picture of like the bow and the arrow. We want to quiver full and we want to aim well at where we're going.
Yeah.
To be intentional, you really do have to pull back on the bow. There's tension in the process, but you're life. And so it's just being able to do, if you don't hit the mark, you can
shoot again.
Keep going. Yeah, shoot again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate Donna for joining us. And I definitely look forward to seeing you again, having you on the show again.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. There you have it. Like I said, I'll be posting the links to the 2 guides, to the 2 PDFs that she shared with us. Be sure to take advantage of that. One is like a complete outline of a family meeting. There's spaces to fill in, like you can plan it out ahead of time if you'd like. And then there's the other PDF is just a list of, the strategies in a meeting. what can you expect, the different types of meetings. So you want to take advantage of that. It's going to be really valuable. Like I said, I'll be putting that in the comments here shortly. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on this broadcast. I look forward to the next one. Like I said, I'm going to be going live again probably Friday or Saturday morning. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm working on some scheduled things. But I'm going to be coming on yours truly, and I'm going to be doing a teaching on really just really basic, fundamental parenting. I think a lot of parents get tripped up on something around lies and our belief system. So I want to dive into that and encourage everybody and help all of us in the parenting journey. So again, we'll see you guys very soon. I hope you have a wonderful day and the rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next time.